As the fire crisis in Morwell eases, the spotlight turns to how the blaze started and how it was fought. There's no disagreement that there are lessons to be learned, but there are concerns the full story won't emerge unless there's a judicial inquiry. Those who worked under the regime of the old State Electricity Commission claim regulation post-privatisation is too lax. And as Peter Carlyon reports, a video obtained by 7:30 Victoria may back that argument.
It's been 4 long, smoky weeks for the people of Morwell. Firefighters are finally getting the upper hand. But those in the know believe this emergency could have been avoided.
Something catastrophic happened because if the system's in place, it shouldn't have happened.
Bill Brown knows a lot about preventing and fighting fires in coal mines. He worked in the mine's fire service at the government-owned State Electricity Commission for 30 years.
A Bible of firefighting and fire suppression systems in the mine, which included a huge reticulation system which was supposed to be put right around the mine to stop any fire getting out of the cut, causing what happened the other day.
That Bible made it onto the small screen. This SEC video, obtained by 7:30 Victoria, dates from the 1980s.
Policy demands at least 50% coverage of the coal levels, so the idea is to form a spray pattern which divides the entire mine into controllable zones.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at a coal level there where the sprays are in operation.
From up here, any gaps in the defence can easily be seen and rectified.
The pipelines are 55 metres apart with rotary sprays at every 550 metre interval, and the idea is to cut down the risk of fire by wetting the whole level down. You'd never see the cut without a spray going, and these days now you hardly ever see them going.
The biggest risk here is if we have a fire outside the open cut, such as a bushfire or grass fire, it can spot into the open cut and that causes a lot of risk.
You couldn't get away with it because it was very thoroughly checked. There was a wet test. That means that all the sprays were turned on in the cut and it showed the weaknesses up where the water wasn't getting. So it was very thoroughly done in those days.
Bill Brown retired 16 years ago and his expertise is still in demand. Twice during the Hazelwood fire, the CFA invited him to survey the fireground. He says in his day, mine officials knew their jobs and reputations were on the line if they failed regulatory audits. Now he believes there's an assumption among the power companies that the CFA will pick up the slack.
I think that the CFA is the fall guy here. I think they do a magnificent job, the CFA, and I think they just leave it all to the CFA and the other statutory authorities.
This is a change that's occurred in the Latrobe Valley in the last 10 or so years, where the CFA has taken a much broader responsibility for what was once the operations of the old SEC. I feel that it's been shown by this incident to not be effective.
And the CFA acknowledges it's searched high and low to find people qualified to deal with the open cut fire.
That expert panel includes the Chief Executive Officer from Queensland Mines Rescue, the Commissioner from Fire Rescue New South Wales, an independent engineer which we've brought into the team, and also we're using an expert from Texas in USA to peer review the use of foams on what is brown coal.
Today, the emphasis was on foam.
But back in the day of the SEC, resources were closer to hand.
I think everybody is very disappointed that the foam equipment they're using now, which appears to be quite effective, had to be bought by ship from Tasmania. I mean, you would think that that equipment should have been based here in Latrobe Valley.
Graham Middlemas is not only a senior official with the CFMEU's Mining and Energy Division, he's also a Latrobe City Councillor. His office is close to the Hazelwood open cut. He was on the mine's ridgeline when the fire broke out.
I always like to think that anything as serious and such a big risk as that would have 2 or 3 levels of backup. I have heard GDF Sewers say there were 2 levels of electrical backup and they lost power to both of them, but I would have thought we would have gone to diesel pumps, that kind of stuff, fairly quickly.
Early on, the company left it up to state authorities to explain the fire, but on Monday it finally broke its silence.
Let me just say that we as a GDF Suez Hazelwood, that we really sympathise and acknowledge the problems the people of Morwell are encountering today.
GDF Suez also rejected persistent rumours that the fire could have started from within the open cut.
That day was a very particular day, that Sunday. As you might recall, on Friday there was already some fires mentioned, so we had people on alert. So we didn't have any fire anywhere in the mine. On Sunday we had two sources that came up at the same time.
There are a lot of rumours swirling around this community, and we think the best thing would be to call anybody who has information as a witness with legal protection, get it out in the community, and let's find out the real situation. And we think a judicial inquiry is the best way to do it. It can't be covered up.
Bill Brown agrees and says that inquiry should also fully canvass a move back to a stricter regime of regulation.
It could happen at Loy Yang tomorrow, it could happen at Yallourn tomorrow, just on the right conditions. If you haven't got your infrastructure in place, you could be in the same position we're in now.